name is Kitty Asbury, and I am the Executive Director of the Commission on the Status of Women. I would like to thank you for coming out in support of the Commission's recognition of the celebration of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. To share a quick overview of the Commission on the Status of Women is a strong, recognized, and respected voice for women in Oklahoma. We are a leader in creating opportunities and improving outcomes for all women and girls in our state. We are committed to increasing leadership positions and expanding capacity by creating innovative pathways and partnerships with other organizations who share our mission. Here with me today is Commissioner Gloria Torres, Chairman of the Commission on the Status of Women, and House District 85 Representative and Minority Caucus Chair, as well as a Commissioner for the Status of Women, Representative Cindy Munson, and also Advisory Council Member Debbie Hope Downey. At this time, I would like to introduce Chairman Gloria Torres.
We are here today to commemorate the 100th year anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment to our Constitution. Women's suffrage, or the right for women to vote, was codified with 39 words that established the 19th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. The 19th Amendment reads, "The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation." It took activists and reformers nearly 100 years to win this right. On February 28th of 1920, the state of Oklahoma became the 33rd state to approve the 19th Amendment. And finally, on this date, August 18th, 1920, the 19th Amendment of the Constitution was ratified, enfranchising all American women and declaring that women deserve all the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. On November 2nd of 1920, over 8 million women went out to vote for their choice of president for the first time. This November 3rd of 2020, 100 years later, let's honor this achievement with getting out the vote. I encourage you to learn more about the progress our country has made to ensure the voices of all American women are counted in our elections. To do just that, I invite you to follow the Commission on the Status of Women on Facebook, as we have a month-long salute to the women leaders of our nation. On behalf of the Commission of the Status of Women, on behalf of the Commission's Status of Women's gubernatorial and legislatively appointed members and advisory council, it is an honor to present this proclamation in recognition of women's victory of the right to vote.
I am going to read to you today the proclamation honoring the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution on behalf of the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women. Whereas the bold, courageous, and powerful women who fought for the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution on August 18th, 1920, deserve special celebration by the state of Oklahoma, especially on the 100th anniversary of its ratification in 2020. And whereas Oklahoma voted to ratify the 19th Amendment on February 28, 1920, and whereas in 1907, Oklahoma Territory became the state of Oklahoma. In the new state constitution, despite decades of organizing, women were granted the right to vote in school elections only. And whereas in 1918, Oklahoma voted on a state constitutional amendment for women's suffrage. And whereas on November 5th, 1918, almost 2 years before the ratification of the 19th Amendment, Oklahoma passed a universal women's suffrage amendment to their state constitution, with 106,909 votes for to 81,481 votes against. And whereas the 19th Amendment did not guarantee suffrage for all women, including Native Americans who did not gain the right to vote until years later. For Asian Pacific Islander Americans, it was 1952. African American and Latin Americans suffered voter suppression until passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and 1975. And whereas the fact that today women are active in local, state, and national government and are running for office in unprecedented numbers reminds us that we all follow in the footsteps of these resolute American suffragists. And whereas the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution has played an important role in advancing the right of all women. And whereas the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women hereby recommend that Oklahomans celebrate the 100th anniversary of the passage and ratification of the 19th Amendment, providing for women's suffrage to the Constitution of the United States, honor the role of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, and further promoting the core values of our democracy as promised by the Constitution of the United States. And whereas the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women reaffirmed the opportunity for Oklahomans to learn about and commemorate the efforts of the women's suffrage movement and the role of women in our democracy, and now therefore be it resolved that the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women reaffirm our desire to continue to strengthen the democratic participation and to inspire future generations to cherish and preserve the historic precedent established under the 19th Amendment, adopted by order of the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women on August 18th, 2020. As the first Asian American woman elected to the Oklahoma legislature, I reflect often that it was only 68 years ago that Asian American women were granted the right to vote. Voting is quite honestly the most impactful way to bring our voices to places of power. So today, as we celebrate, we must remember that Black, Native, Latinx, and Asian women were not granted the right to vote until years later. We must also never forget the women who have come before us to ensure that we are able to fully participate in our democracy for a better state and nation.